Isn't it crazy? Oh, I have a magnificent bird behind me, so pardon the praises. So, don't you ever wondered why, when you were a child and you were being yourself, just being a naughty kid, and your parents come by and they're like, "Hey, behave yourself." Like, "Dad, I'm behaving myself. What more do you want, right?" And I think putting a child back in school is the beginning of the end for the like it is the beginning of the end, because at that point that child has been integrated to behave a certain way. And I know we live in an age where teachers are not even allowed to spank kids anymore. It's like, how dare you teach my kid how to behave properly? You know, it could be that, or it could just be a mentally unstable teacher that is trying to traumatize your child. It could be any of the two. But most time is, I think, it's the latter. Is a child being themselves, who are who are being told, "Hey, you can't behave that way. You have to behave this way." You know, that's the beginning of the child being told to be submissive to authority figures, whether they're right or wrong. Like, you have to behave this way. Okay, this is your teacher. Whatever he tells you to do it regardless. And then after that, maybe the child leaves school. Where does he go? He gets a job. Another authority figure. Okay, he gets out of work on Sunday. If he's a Christian, he goes to church, right? Another authority figure. So it is like you're in this transition of authority figures since when you were born, right? Till you become an adult, and you're just being integrated to be submissive. Just be a good boy, be a good child. For what? What's your reward? What's your reward? Peanuts, little crumbs of bread, not getting arrested by the police, not staying out of staying not disrupting the norm, not disrupting the norm of what is. Yeah, just complying, just being compliant, just be agreeable, just don't be a threat. Don't be a threat. Literally, that's what it is. And you ever wonder why male kids are always the one who cry in school? Because that isn't what they were made for. They're not supposed to be sitting in one place, listening to someone. They're supposed to be doing what they want to do, right? Like, they're supposed to be out being productive. And I know school is a beautiful thing, don't get me wrong. School is an important part of life. It gives you that sense of orientation that you can't get anywhere else. It's priceless. But it is part of the system. It is part of the system. It is part of getting kids to comply with what is and not who they are. And I think that is why most rich people rather have a teacher come to their house and teach their kids instead of taking them to school, right? And even if they're going to school, it has to be that top tier school where it's not the normal kind of school that the average or the poor class usually go to. The curriculum is very different. It's different from what you and I were taught in school. So there's that. And then what happens to those rich kids? They already have a sense of. I don't even think that. I've never been to their school, so I don't know how it is. But I don't think their teachers actually make them less of who they are. Let me put it that way. I don't think that is what happens in their school. So these guys come out very confident. They could have the poorest grade and still be more cockier than the person with the highest grade in a normal average school. And these guys turn out to be your lawyers, your presidents. They occupy positions of power, and that's for a reason. That was for a reason. Because now that I actually think of it, I learned more from my lesson teacher back at home than I ever did in school. And maybe it was because I was learning in a safe environment, in a place where I felt that was safe for me. I don't know. but I could go to school, they could teach me everything, and I wouldn't get it. I wouldn't learn a thing. But once I get home and my lesson teacher is there, suddenly it's like ABC. Like I could. So I think some people who aren't good performers in school are not unintelligent or dumb. Maybe it's just the environment. Maybe the environment just isn't conducive for them. Now, mind you, indoctrination goes to both genders. There's levels to indoctrination, right? Just like there's hierarchy in power. Anyway, of course, obviously. So you could find out that a woman might be disrespectful to her husband, but when she goes to church, she's like a completely different person with the pastors. Like, what? The husband's gonna be looking at her crazy, like, what? What you the one who was doing that this morning? Like, huh? So there's level to that. There's levels to that. Indoctrination, it was done for a reason. Because come to think of it, right? Your wife might come home with, that's if you're married, and she could throw up tantrums. Like, oh, I'm just pissed. Like, I can't control myself. I'm just being a woman. But when she's in the office, she controls herself more than anything. Isn't that magnificent, bro? So yeah, there's levels. There's levels to it. So the beginning of the end for your kids is when you put them in school. That's why I think your job as a parent is to really observe your kids, to know what they're supposed to be in life. It's your job as a parent to do that. I personally, I was very good at art from a young age. I was drawing things that, I was drawing things beyond my age. Let me put it that way. I was doing things beyond my age. Yeah, and I grew up loving music. I was writing songs since I was in JSS 1, bro. I was in JSS 1 writing songs, fam. But guess what happened? When I got to JSS 3, my dad was like, what do you want to do? And I looked around and I saw that all the people I admired were all scientists. And I said I wanted to be a science student, even though that wasn't what I was supposed to do. Now, if my dad had known better, he would have said, hey, you're a good artist, why not go here, do this, do that, do that, do that. And since it went along with what he wanted for his ego, he was like, yeah, I think science is going to be a good thing for you. Be a doctor, be an engineer, do your thing. But nah, I'm an engineer today, even though I still paint, even though I still draw, and I still have that artistic view of things in life, even though I'm a scientist. So I think it's like I've been handed a double-edged sword. Yeah, it is good. Maybe it served me better, I don't know. But I think as a parent, it is the job of a parent to really know what's best for their kids and what resonates with the kids at an early age, so they could help them navigate what path they are supposed to take in life. So yeah, I think that's all I have for this video. So let me know what you think.